What if I told you that one of the most explosive feuds in Real Housewives history has finally come full circle? A rivalry so fiery, so venomous, that fans once believed peace between these two women was completely impossible. But after years of chaos, accusations, and televised humiliation, Gizelle Bryant and Monique Samuels have done the unthinkable. They have made peace. Yes, peace. But hold on, because this is not your fairy tale reconciliation. Behind that handshake lies years of betrayal, receipts, and redemption that not even the Bravo cameras could capture. It began with whispers. The kind of whispers that tear friendships apart and turn best friends into sworn enemies. What started as a rumor grew into a full-blown war, one that split the entire cast and divided fans across the internet. From cheating allegations to marriages crumbling under pressure, Gizelle and Monique's feud became bigger than reality TV. It became personal. And when I say personal, I mean it. This was not about petty drama. This was about loyalty, trust, and the kind of emotional wounds that do not heal easily. The kind of wounds that bleed in public, under studio lights, with millions watching and commenting. Flashback to season 5. Social media was on fire. Rumors swirled that Monique's youngest son was not fathered by her husband, Chris Samuels. It was a cruel, deeply invasive accusation, one that struck at the very core of her family. Fans were horrified, hashtags trended overnight, and the fandom split down the middle. But according to Monique, this was not just gossip, it was sabotage. She believed the rumor had been ignited by none other than Gizelle Bryant and Cherries Jackson. Whether it was for ratings, revenge, or pure spite, Monique felt betrayed beyond words. And when she finally confronted them, the fallout was nuclear. Friendships shattered. Alliances broke. And the air in that reunion room could have been cut with a knife. Then came the binder. Yes, the binder, the now iconic moment burned into every fan's memory. Monique arrived armed with pages of receipts, secrets, and evidence that made the entire cast squirm in their seats. That night, the world watched as she flipped the script, exposing years of behind-the-scenes manipulation. It was not just television, it was history. After that, Monique walked away from the show. Publicly. Definitively. She said she was done with Bravo, done with fake friendships, done with pain. Fans mourned her exit, thinking they had seen the last of her. But behind the scenes, something was changing. Fast forward 5 seasons. A headline breaks, Monique is back. And not just back, but welcomed by the very woman she once accused of destroying her family. Gizelle Bryant. The same Gizelle who had once been her biggest enemy, now greeting her with open arms. The internet lost its mind. Twitter exploded. Fans could not believe it. How did we go from binder battles to forgiveness? What happened off camera that made two women with years of bad blood suddenly find peace? The answer lies in growth, and in a secret moment that no one saw coming. Because before forgiveness came reflection. Both women had faced public humiliation, personal heartbreak, and online hate. They had been dragged through the mud, misunderstood, and misquoted. And maybe, just maybe, they realized that the real enemy was not each other, but the circus around them. But do not be fooled, this reunion was not champagne and confessions. It was tense, emotional, and raw. Forgiveness did not come easily. It came with hesitation, with awkward silences, and with decades of history hovering over every word. Fans online still debate it: is this real? Or is it for the cameras? Regardless of where you stand, one thing is certain: this story has come full circle. From betrayal to redemption. From public breakdowns to private healing. From viral rumors to a reunion that no one saw coming. Because in the end, reality TV might create the drama, but it is real pain that drives the story. And sometimes, forgiveness is not weakness. It is the final plot twist. The tension had reached a boiling point. Every brunch, every reunion, every tiny gathering that was supposed to be about laughter, turned into war. Monique could feel the walls closing in, eyes watching, whispers growing, smiles fading into daggers. What used to be sisterhood had become battlefield silence. The betrayal ran so deep that even showing up started to feel like a setup. Gizelle, meanwhile, brushed everything off with her signature smirk, denying she ever spread the rumor. But the internet was not buying it. Fans noticed how comfortably she discussed it on camera, how she repeated it just enough to make it live forever. Hashtags began trending, #BinderEnergy. #Justice for Monique. And then came that day, the infamous reunion. A day that shook the entire Bravo fandom to its core. Monique did not come to play. She came to finish it. When she walked in with that color-coded binder, crisp, organized, and weaponized, the entire room froze. It was not just paper. It was power. Every tab held secrets that could make or break reputations. When Monique opened it and started reading names, the internet exploded. Twitter turned into a battlefield of memes and live reactions. TikTok lit up with dramatic edits. Fans screamed, she brought receipts. One by one, she called out her castmates. Each revelation landed like a punch, and when her gaze locked on Gizelle, the air left the room. Gizelle's face told the story: shock, humiliation, and pure fury. That was not a TV fight anymore. That was real pain, live on camera. The reunion became one of the most replayed, dissected, and memed moments in Real Housewives history. And when it was over, Monique had had enough. She closed the binder, looked straight into the cameras, and silently declared, "I'm done." In interviews that followed, she was raw, unfiltered, and exhausted. She called out Bravo, the producers, and most of all, Gizelle. She said she had no intention of ever holding a champagne flute again. To her, that glittering glass symbolized betrayal dressed up as friendship. And for years, she meant it. But time has a strange way of shifting the story. Because when season 10 rolled around, everything changed. When the trailer dropped, fans gasped. Monique Samuels was back. And who was waiting on the other side of that door? None other than Gizelle Bryant, the queen of shade herself. But this time, something was different. There was no smirk. No sarcasm. Just openness. So what on earth happened? How did Bravo's most unbothered woman suddenly become willing to let the past die? Well, the answer might surprise you, and it comes with a name no one expected. Ashley Darby. The eternal middlewoman of chaos, the friend who somehow survives every feud, the one who can sip tea with the enemy and still walk away spotless. This time, though, Ashley was not stirring the pot, she was stirring peace. According to Gizelle herself, this reconciliation did not just fall from the sky. Ashley was the quiet bridge, the invisible thread between two women who had sworn never to speak again. While everyone else cut ties with Monique after her exit, Ashley stayed in touch. Checking in. Reaching out. Reminding her that not all friendships on reality TV have to end in ashes. Over time, Monique's life had changed. The marriage that once defined her, gone. The city she once called home, left behind. She had divorced Chris Samuels, moved away from Potomac, and rebuilt her life from the ground up. And when Ashley told Gizelle about this new chapter, something clicked. Gizelle admitted that Ashley had softened her heart. It was not instant forgiveness, but it was the first crack in the wall she had built for years. And when the cameras started rolling again for season 10, Gizelle did something no one expected: she opened her door. Literally and emotionally. When Monique walked back into that Bravo world, it was not the same stage she had left. The energy had shifted. Both women had grown. Both had suffered losses. And both had realized that sometimes peace hits harder than pride. During an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Gizelle even laughed, joking that Monique probably had less houses now, but still more than most. It was humor, not hostility. And fans picked up on it instantly. This was not the icy, armored Gizelle we saw years ago. This was a woman finally ready to exhale. Social media erupted again, but this time, not in anger. Comments poured in: "This is healing I didn't know I needed. Never thought I'd see the day Gizelle and Monique could breathe the same air again. Ashley needs a Nobel Peace Prize for housewives diplomacy." It was surreal. The same feud that once symbolized chaos had become a symbol of growth. But the biggest shock came next. Because in that same interview, Gizelle dropped a sentence that froze every longtime fan. "I was actually happy to see her again, happy to just connect." It sounded simple, but for Real Housewives fans, it was seismic. For years, Gizelle had been the face of shade, confident, sarcastic, and completely unbothered. But in that single moment, we saw something else: vulnerability. A woman tired of fighting. A woman choosing peace over pride. A woman who had finally, after all the chaos, found her closure. So, what really changed? Because let us be honest, forgiveness does not just appear out of thin air. It takes years, pain, and a few heartbreaks that reality TV could never script. Somewhere between the chaos and the cameras, life did what Bravo never could. Both women walked through fire, and came out different. Monique's world collapsed and rebuilt itself. Her marriage to Chris Samuels ended, her mansion in Potomac became a memory, and for once in her life, she stopped performing for the cameras. She started living for herself, focusing on her peace, her children, and her sanity. The Monique that returned was not the woman who stormed out years ago. This one was softer, wiser, and tired of bleeding for ratings. Meanwhile, Gizelle, the woman fans once called the green-eyed bandit, had her own reckoning. Raising her daughters alone. Watching her relationships become headlines. Facing every meme, every think piece, every judgment. Somewhere along the way, that armor of shade cracked just enough for something real to slip through. When she spoke during that Entertainment Tonight interview, her tone stunned everyone. Gone was the snark. Gone was the shade. What came through was reflection. She was not trying to win the argument anymore. She was simply acknowledging another woman's growth, and in doing so, showing her own. Fans online noticed it instantly. Wait, is this the same Gizelle? I have never seen her this calm. Character development we did not see coming. For the first time, she was not fanning the flames. She was putting them out. That, in itself, was shocking. Because let us be real, Gizelle rarely lets anyone see behind the glitter and confidence. But this time, her voice trembled just slightly, enough for people to hear something genuine. Still, the Bravo world does not forgive easily. And not everyone was ready to sing Kumbaya. Because behind the peace posts, polite hugs, and camera-ready smiles, the tension never really died. It was just hiding, waiting. When news broke that Monique Samuels was officially returning for season 10, the group chat reportedly went silent. Then chaos. Some housewives were curious, others furious. And a few? Absolutely terrified that old ghosts were about to walk back into the room. Charisse Jackson Jordan, for instance, never truly healed from her fallout with Monique. Their feud, let us not forget, was the spark that lit the match for the infamous rumor, the one that accused Monique of being unfaithful to her husband. That wound never closed. So when production announced that Monique would be back, sources said the tension behind the scenes was palpable. There were questions whispered in every makeup room: is she here for peace, or payback? Is this closure, or just chapter 2 of the war? Because let us face it, Monique's return is not just a comeback. It is a reckoning. Then there is Robin Dixon, Gizelle's longtime ally and ride-or-die sister in shade. Robin's loyalty runs deep, and so does her memory. Season 5's chaos was a firestorm she never forgot. And while she might smile for the cameras now, fans can already sense it. She is observing, calculating, waiting. Even Ashley Darby, the self-proclaimed peacemaker who helped rebuild this fragile bridge, knows she is walking a tightrope. One wrong word, one shady comment, and the whole thing collapses. Because in Potomac, peace is temporary. And just when you think things could not get more complicated, cue Candiace Dillard Bassett. Her history with Monique is not just emotional, it is physical. That altercation back in season 5 changed the trajectory of both their lives. And while they might be polite on social media now, fans are not buying it. Every time the two appear in the same room, the internet starts counting down like it is a live ticking bomb. If Candiace and Monique breathe the same air again, I'm grabbing popcorn. No way this ends quietly. Not in Potomac. So here we are, the calm before the next storm. Two women who went from enemies to allies. A cast split between forgiveness and suspicion. And a fanbase watching every move like detectives in a Bravo whodunit. Because as beautiful as redemption sounds, peace in Potomac rarely lasts long. Rumor has it, the cameras have already caught tension brewing, side-eyes, whispers, alliances reforming in the dark. The champagne may be chilled, but the air is electric. And somewhere deep down, everyone knows, when it comes to the Real Housewives of Potomac, peace is just the prologue to the next explosion. It is one thing for Gizelle Bryant to forgive, but it is a completely different story for Candiace Dillard Bassett to forget. Because forgiveness? That is a choice. But forgetting, that is impossible when the internet still replays your lowest moments on loop. Candiace has said it herself, she never wanted anything to do with Monique again. Not after the chaos, not after the fallout, not after that night. So, imagine the shock when she finds out that season 10 is rolling, and Monique is walking right back into the same room. Cameras on. Mics live. The ghosts of season 5, back from the dead. The thing about Real Housewives of Potomac is that peace is never permanent. It is a countdown waiting for one shady Instagram story, one offhand comment, one accidentally leaked receipt to blow it all up again. The producers know it. The fans know it. And somewhere deep down, the women know it too. Sure, Gizelle might be sipping tea in a calm, healed era right now, but that does not mean the rest of the cast got the memo. Because Potomac thrives on divided loyalty. For every truce, there is a side-eye waiting in the confessional. For every apology, there is a subtweet coming at midnight. Still, this feels different. Watching Gizelle and Monique, two women who once stood on opposite sides of the franchise's biggest civil war, now sharing the same air, the same space, even the same laughter, it is almost unreal. Because when Gizelle Bryant stops fighting with you, the real question becomes, who's next on her list? And yet, beneath the whispers and cautious smiles, there is an undeniable truth that even the biggest cynics cannot ignore. Both women have changed. Not for Bravo. Not for fans. But because life changed them. Divorce. Distance. Time. These things do not just soften hearts, they redefine them. Gizelle's transformation was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet. It was the late-night reflections, the single mom's strength, the public judgment she learned to rise above. The Shade Queen grew, and for once, she did not have to drag someone else down to prove it. Monique's evolution was different but equally powerful. She walked away from the cameras, from the chaos, from the labels that turned her into a headline. She lost a marriage, but she found her peace. She learned that healing is not weakness, it is armor. And now, standing across from each other, these two women are no longer enemies locked in battle. They are survivors. They are reflections of what happens when pain becomes purpose. Their reunion was not about screaming, not about dragging, not even about reliving the binder war. It was about understanding. The internet was stunned. Wait, is this growth on Bravo? I did not expect to cry watching this. This feels real. And that is what made it powerful. It was not performative. It was human. Because this moment, this fragile, unexpected truce, is not just about Gizelle and Monique. It is about evolution. It is about what happens when women decide to stop fighting battles that the world expects them to lose. When they realize that forgiveness does not make you weak. It makes you unstoppable. When they understand that sometimes, the most shocking revenge is peace. But let us not forget, this is still Potomac. And if history has taught us anything, forgiveness today can easily turn into confessional shade tomorrow. Because in this world, calm is not comfort, it is the setup. And where there is peace, a storm is always brewing. Still, for now, the viewers are witnessing something rare: growth, grace, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of a real friendship between two women who once could not stand to breathe the same air. Season 10 is coming. New alliances will form. Old wounds will itch. And when Monique walks back through those Bravo doors, every champagne glass in Potomac will tremble. Because peace in this city? It never lasts long. So, whether you are Team Gizelle, Team Monique, or just here for the chaos, buckle up. This season is about to test every definition of loyalty, forgiveness, and fame. Clapperboard OUTRO, YouTube style. If you love this deep dive into Gizelle and Monique's shocking truce, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next Bravo breakdown. Tell me in the comments, do you believe this piece is real, or is it just another Bravo illusion? Because in Potomac, the tea might cool down. But the shade never sleeps. Hot beverage fire.